Yo, what's good? It's your boy B-Dell. I am back with a galactic dissertation. If you're new to this channel, hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. But today I'm going to be breaking down the complexities of an electromagnetic pole shift and how everything in the universe works in divine order through the laws of physics, because everything in nature operates on a logistical cycle, which creates this dynamical process of a spiritual reset, an economic reset, and a planetary reset, right? So with all that being said, we finna get straight to it. So now, when you're talking about the personification of a pole shift, so when you look at a pole shift, these are basically the inception points, because a pole shift is basically the symbology of magnetic north merging with magnetic south. So this creates a chaotic energy on the planet, which vibrates at 13.13 megahertz frequency, right? And 13 esoterically in Vedic numerology means the divine feminine energy. And that divine feminine energy also is a fourth dimensional energy that creates a tetrahedron frequency on the planet to where the poles basically reverse itself, to where it spikes up the Schumann resonance, right? So now when you're talking about the number 13 from that perspective, when you're talking about the magnetic pole shift, because it's supposed to be operating at a 13.13 megahertz frequency, right? So esoterically, when you understand Vedic numerology, 13 in numerology is a sacred number, and it's a very karmic number in numerology, right? So this is why, due to the fact that the planet was in a state of subjugation due to a patrilineal patriarchal energy, that put the divine feminine energy out of balance. So everything in nature has a symbiotic connection with the divine feminine energy, and the divine feminine energy is coming back to take over the planet, which is a fourth dimensional energy that basically decimates the three-dimensional frequency that we're living in right now, right? So now, when you're talking about all these calamities on the planet, all these calamities is due to the fact that you have intrinsic solar radiation that's permeating the stratosphere and hitting the planet. So this is why you see things like this going on, because we are going through a metamorphic shift. Everything on the planet is terraforming, because now we're in the inception period of the 2023 to 2030 tribulation. So everything in nature is going to fight to take over the three-dimensional paradigm.
As the waters swirled, the trees began to slip below the surface until they were completely consumed. The sinkhole is believed to have been created.
So like I said, the planet is terraforming, and we're going through a metamorphic shift. Everything on the planet is starting to change. Everything. Because nature must take back the planet, because it's been galvanized by a Piscean Saturnian energy, right? So now we're going to go to the flooding that just happened last week in Northern California. See, all this calamity is happening on the planet is because you have fictitious icebergs, which is that was created by liquid nitrogen. And the liquid nitrogen is basically melting, and this is what's causing all the desolation and calamity and the mass flooding on the planet, because the inception point in the inception period of the planet, it wasn't supposed to be cold on this planet. When you look at the Egyptian hieroglyphics, when you look at the Mayan hieroglyphics, when you look at all these hieroglyphics and monolithic structures all around the planet, it doesn't say anything about the winter season. Everything was based on the tropical energy. Everything was vibrating at a higher frequency, because the inception of when the planet was created was based on the sun cycle, right? So the reason they created winter is because it caused a lunar light lock that puts an encryption on your biological structure that keeps you acclimated to the matrix system, because it's all but galvanized by the lunar cycle, because the lunar cycle was copulating with the Piscean energy, right? So now we're going to go to some more stuff. So this is what you're going to be looking at around the springtime, you're going to see a lot more extraction in our atmosphere, which causes this dynamical process of a high frequency when you're talking about these rainbows. And these rainbows are basically stargates and portals that's permeating our planet. Now, this is in Beijing. So that's because you have Nibiru in our atmosphere, and they sending out light vibrations that basically raises up and spikes the Schumann resonance on the planet, right? This is why all this stuff is happening. That's because, like I said, Nibiru is raising up the vibrational frequency of the planet. And if you're not matching the same vibration of the planet, this is where you reap the benefits of a negative frequency, because you're basically a parasitical entity to the planet, because you're not harmonizing with the planet due to nanogenetic mind control, right? So now we're going to go to this other thing. You're going to have this high frequency of lightning, because this is real lightning. Real lightning comes from the structure and the foundation of the ground. The fictitious lightning is also conducive to the fact that it's a spark of energy that comes down from the stratosphere. That's not the real lightning. The real lightning comes from the frequency and the vibration of the earth. So I'm going to show you this clip here. That's real lightning. So like I said, all these, anomalies that's going on the planet right now, that's because the planet is shifting, right? That's because the planet is shifting, because like I said, when you look at this 0-point field chart, which is the Earth's pole reversal, that's because, like I said, 13.13 megahertz frequency is a harmonic frequency that connects you to the space-time continuum. So you're going to have a pole reversal. You're going to have a shift in consciousness on the planet. So if you have, diabolical enzymes inside your biological structure, due to the fact that we had the pestilence back in 2020, what's going to happen is, when you're not matching the same vibration of the planet, because you have a lunar light lock energy inside your biological structure from the, I can't say it because, they're going to flag the page. They're going to flag the page and try to say I said something that I wasn't supposed to say. But, that basically threw off the anatomy. That puts you out of, to where you're not vibrating at the same frequency as the Fibonacci sequence, right? Because planet Nibiru is the 9th planet, and the 9th planet is a personification of non-ether. Non-ether is amalgamated with atomic fusion, and atomic fusion raises up the vibrational frequency of the planet. And if you're not matching the vibrational frequency of the planet, you're going to be decimated. So this is why the vast majority of people you see right now, when you're talking about these athletes, right? When you're talking about these athletes, since from 2021 to 2022, you had over 1,300 athletes collapsed and died, because in order for you to play at the collegiate level, in order for you to play at the professional level, you had to get the you know what I'm saying? And this is not by a coincidental concept in the ideology that they are falling out on purpose. You know what I'm saying? That's because they trusted the 3-dimensional matrix system. They believed in everything they said due to behavior modification and the indoctrination process that they were socialized to believe, so they can make some money, right? So you had since 2021 and 2022, you had 1,300 athletes, collapsed and died. And she just died recently. MMA fighter Victoria Lee, she died suddenly at 18, right? So this is not a coincidence. That's because, like I said, when you have that lunar light like energy that puts an encryption all over your biological structure, it's hard for you to take up on that intrinsic solar radiation. And that intrinsic solar radiation is being sparked by the frequency of Nibiru that's sending light codes to the planet. And you're not able to reap the benefits of the light codes if you have nanogenetic technology inside your body, right? You're basically a human cyborg. And this is another video I forgot to show you. Because like I said, everything on the planet is shifting. You see that? Everything, you got the inner sun, you got a 600 mile diameter sun inside the planet. A 600 mile diameter sun, which also created the Aurora Borealis, the Northern Lights. And that 600 mile diameter sun is raising up the vibrational frequency of the planet as well. So this is where the 7 trumpets come into play, right? Because like I said, you got the, let me see. You got the 7 seals, which also equates to the 7 trumpets, which equates to the 7 bowls, right? So the 7 seals is acclimated to monotheistic religion, right? So you have a great tribulation that we're living in right now. You could first, you got the white horse, red horse, black horse, pale horse, martyrdom, and great tribulation in the heavenly signs, right? And then in the 7 trumpets, you got the green and grass, 1/3 of the trees burned up, and then you got 1/3 of the sea becomes blood, 1/3 of the waters turn bitter, 1/3 of the sun and the moon and the stars do not shine, and then you got locusts, and then you have the beast military power, which is acclimated to the corporate legal fiction of the de facto corporation, which is why Donald Trump is the 19th president, and he's going to be restored on March 4th this year. He's the 19th president because whoever's the president is the one who controls the military. You also have the 6th seal, which is a 200 million man army, and 1/3 of mankind killed. And 1/3 of mankind killed, when you look at that Deagle publication that came out, that's supposed to be coming out, it already came out, but it said that in 2025, that at least from 50 to 80% of the Earth's population could be decimated by 2025, right? And then on the 7th seal, well, on the 7th trumpet, you got the kingdom of God is declared, right? And then when you go to the 7 bowls, you got the swords afflicted, those who accepted the mark of the use of the beast, which is when you're talking about the so-called you know what, right? In order, because a lot of people took that you know what so they can reap the benefits of monetary gain, because everybody got to pay their bills. So that's how they supplicate your emotions and transmute it over into a weakness. So now they got you to where you like, oh, I got to pay my bills, or I got to keep up with my career. Oh, I'm a professional athlete and this is my purpose. So I got to get this, you know what, in order for me, you know, to play on national television, right? And then on the 2nd bowl, you have the sea turns to blood, all sea creatures die. On the 3rd bowl, you have the rivers turn to blood. 4th bowl, mankind scorched by the sun. Now, I need you to understand something. There's a diametrical difference between man and mankind, right? The original man is conducive to the energy of the sun because he has a carbon makeup, right? Mankind isn't conducive to the sun because he was part of the genetic splicing process that took place in 4086 BC on the island of Patmos by Yaqub, right? So that's why I'm saying man and mankind is not the same thing. Mankind is a kind of a man that was genetically spliced by people who was already on the planet first, who are the Anunnaki, right? And then you have the 5th bowl, which is the beast and the seat of the government is afflicted. The seat of the government is already afflicted, right? Because you just had the Pope who just died, who controls monotheistic religion under the youth structure system of the de facto corporation, which leads to the military because it's conducive to the canon laws and the Inquisition, which makes you a prisoner of war, right? And then you have the Queen that just died. She controls the financial sector with the Rothschilds banking system, right? So this is also conducive to an economic reset. And then on the 6th, you got the Euphrates River is dried up and the world armies gather for Armageddon, right? Then you also got the Mississippi River dried up. Then you on the 7th bowl, you have the earth is utterly shaken. So like I said, now I'm going to be showing you this video, and it's going to be this guy. He's going to be talking about how it's going to be mass calamity on the planet, and it's going to be due to the inception of a lot of volcanoes on the planet. And most of the volcanoes, they say that we can have 1,000 volcanoes a day in 2025, right? You can have up to 1,000 volcanoes in 2025. And they say by 2028, you can have up to 1 million earthquakes a day, right? So now I'm going to show you this video. If I can find it, there we go. This video is a name by a man by the name John Moore, and this video came out around 2016, and he talks about how Nibiru is coming. That's because I told you Nibiru has the light vibration frequency codes to raise up the vibrational frequency and spike the Schumann resonance to 13.13 megahertz frequency, right? Let's go.
All right, we're back here in Prague on July 22nd, 2017. We're going to talk about the effects of the Nibiru flyby, Planet X, Wormwood, the destroyer, and how to prepare for it. First, the effects. There will be iron oxide cover.
Notice the map behind him, by the way. I'm going to pull up the map when this video is over, but just notice the map is behind him. And this video came out in 2016. 2016. So it's not a coincidence. It's not a conspiracy theory.
All the waters of the planet, fresh water and salt water both. That will take days to dissipate. I don't know how many days, but days, possibly weeks to dissipate. We could have winds when the jet stream comes to the surface of the planet. In fact, this happened here in the Czech Republic. What was that? About 10 years ago, when that forest got wiped out, those straight line winds. Anybody remember that? Come on, some of you do. Straight line winds, maybe 100, 150 miles an hour for the better part of a day. Rocks the size of automobiles and trucks. Rocks the size of this auditorium. We don't know when they're going to hit or where, but that's happened before. Meteors, rocks. And I got a pointer. All right. I'll tell you what the U.S. Navy said. I got this pointer. I might as well make use of it. New Madrid, Missouri is about right there. The most dangerous seismic zone on the planet. During the winter of 1811, 1812, there were hundreds of earthquakes. 3 of them made church bells ring in Philadelphia, right up here. That's about 700, 800 miles. Now, the energy from that seismic zone goes north and south and east very efficiently, does not go west into the Ozarks, because right here, there's a ridge of granite that acts as a blocking mechanism, as a shock absorber to absorb that energy. The U.S. Navy says that when this water, this inland sea is formed, the weight of the water will trigger 3 9-point plus earthquakes, which would wipe out St. Louis, Chicago, Memphis, points east. A lot of devastation.
That's why I tell people all the time, it's imperative that you have an escape plan, right? You need to move to a safe zone. I understand y'all want to go, y'all live in Atlanta, you want to party, you want to drink, you want to go to Magic City, you want to do all that stuff, you want to live in Florida, you want to live on the beach. A lot of you, you know what I'm saying, you got a lot of people from New York, you just want to stay in New York. You got a lot of people who live in Chicago, y'all want to stay in Chicago, but it's time to wake up to reality. What you're going to do You know what I'm saying? When it's time to move, what you're gonna do when you don't have an escape plan? What you're gonna do when it's time for mass evacuation and it's too late? Because during the time of mass evacuation, right? You know, the roads and everything is gonna be blocked off. So, like I said, man, it's time for people to wake up and start, get away from this ideology of I want to live my best life. You know what I'm saying? It's not about you. You got children, right? We all got children. You know what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with you. You know what I'm saying? So, in order to reap the benefits of staying safe, you know what I'm saying? You got to think of an escape plan, right? So, like I said, I understand why people, you want to live and off the coastlines and the nice weather and everything, but you got to you got to get away from that mindset. It's time to get away from that mindset. It's time to wake up.
There's going to be earthquakes all over the planet. I just happen to know about that seismic zone in North America. Volcanoes are going to kick off. Lots of volcanoes all over the planet. We may end up with 1 or 2 years with no summer, which would wipe out the growing season, of course. When these oceans come up, all the ports, most of the goods on this planet, automobiles, trucks, raw materials, petroleum, food, is moved by ship, by large cargo ships. No ports, there's no way to load and unload the ships, probably for years. What I tell my listeners on my radio show is the best thing you can do is to become part of a farm. We have an expression in the States we call a hobby farm. That's a farm where the fruits, vegetables, produce, milk, meat, whatever it might be, is meant for consumption on the premises, not to be sold to make a living. Obviously, if you have extra eggs, you sell your extra eggs, but primarily for consumption by the people on the farm. I recommend people have a 2-year supply of food. We can easily, if you're just starting out, by the way, learning how to garden, the first garden you plant is probably going to be a disaster. You can almost count on that. The second garden you plant, you may get enough food to get you by maybe for a season. By the 3rd or 4th year of gardening, you're learning how to actually raise enough food successfully to get by.
That's why it's imperative to understand that, common custom precipitates culture. So that way, because you become an autonomous body to where you can deviate from the system to where you can be self-sufficient and grow your own food, right? So that's why it's imperative to do that. You got to, we got to get out of this mindset, including myself, to where we got to start, looking towards their system to where we can, we can be a lot more sustainable on our own.
For a full year. It's an ongoing process. I'm not a gardener, but the gardeners I know, whether they've been gardening for 5 years or 20 or 50 years, they're still learning. It's an ongoing learning process being a gardener. You don't want to be within 100 miles of a major city, which would be basically 200 kilometers. You really don't. There's going to be hungry, desperate people looking to feed their children. Now, movies and novels focus a lot on healthy young males going about and causing problems after a disaster like this, which of course would be a lot of that. But I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, a 25-year-old mother with a hungry 1-year-old is going to be just as dangerous as a gang member. She will do whatever it takes to get food for her child. That's just human nature. People will do whatever it takes to feed their children. The farther away you are from a major city, the better off you'll be. That's pretty much a given. I mentioned earlier today the skills a person may want. Let's talk about emergency medical treatment skills. You've got first aid, CPR, that's cardiopulmonary resuscitation. You got advanced first aid. Now in the States, we have what we call emergency medical technicians, which is entry level. In the States, it's 1 semester of college to become an emergency medical technician, EMT. 3 more semesters of college and you become what's called a paramedic, which is typically the highest level of training that you find on an ambulance in the States. Getting that training now while you can would be a really good thing. We have what appears to be the luxury of time. That might be a complete illusion. But we have what appears to be the luxury of time to learn CPR, to learn emergency medical treatment, and get the equipment and supplies you need. Now, if you attempt to use medical equipment you're not qualified to use, you could hurt somebody or even kill them. Pretty serious stuff. So when you get your training, get medical equipment equal to your level of training. You get more than you can use, more than you're qualified to use. It can be quite dangerous. And get lots of it. When these ports are closed, and it'll be on both sides of the Atlantic, when all these ports are underwater, there's not going to be spare parts anymore. That's not going to happen. The chance of the power grid surviving nationwide in the States or in many of these other countries is pretty minimal. And of course, I should mention there's other threats above and beyond, or in addition to, a Nibiru flyby. One of the main ones, of course, being the consequences of a coronal mass ejection, which the worst one we're aware of happened in 1859, or a man-made EMP, electromagnetic pulse. The coronal mass ejection, quite frankly, could be far worse than a man-made electromagnetic pulse for the following reason. Electromagnetic pulse is strictly line of sight. It can't go around the surface of the planet, around the curvature of the Earth. Coronal mass ejection, if it's powerful enough, can go all the way around the planet, knocking out the power grid worldwide.
See, there's a delineation between a CME and an EMP. Now, CME is caused by the electromagnetic frequency of Nibiru, raising up the vibration of the planet, and creates these extraction of solar flares that hit the planet, and it can knock out the grid. So a CME has the ability to knock out the grid at a holistic level all over the planet. An EMP is man-made. It can only touch on certain geographical areas. It won't be able to knock out the whole grid all around the planet. So that's how you know if it's something that was constructed by the Luciferian military system, right? Or if it was something that was constructed by planet Nibiru in nature.
In some ways, a nationwide or EM.
Because also remember, I told you Nibiru is planet 9. 9 is also a numerical component to non-ether, and that non-ether connects to everything on the planet through atomic fusion that raises up the frequency of the planet. That's why they call it the non-planet, because it's permeating a tetrahedron energy. And that tetrahedron energy is putting the planet back in balance at a 45-degree angle. 4 plus 5 is 9, right?
To hit Europe or the United States or South America could in some ways be worse than the Nibiru flyby. The estimates for the States, for the United States, is 9 out of 10 Americans would be dead in 1 year if we had a nationwide power outage. Think about it. I don't know the numbers for Europe, but in the United States, 8% of the adults in the United States are diabetic. You've got another percentage of people who need heart medication, other people who need medication that keeps them from rejecting organ transplants. All kinds of life-saving medication that after electromagnetic pulse would be gone. The typical prescription.
Because I need you to understand something. The electromagnetic pulse is also connected to the frequency of the heart chakra. So if your heart chakra is manipulated by low frequency thinking, low frequency nature, you can be compromised, right? Because in order to ascend, in order to be in a state of evolution, the heart and the mind must work in symbiotic connection, right? That is 4th dimensional and 5th dimensional thinking, right? So now we're going to go to, let me see. We're going to go here. So now when you said it says this right here, Sears is a form of pestilence that was created by you know who on the picture, and it is predicted to cause a pandemic by 2025. I didn't mean to say that word. But you know what I'm saying. So now when you look at this word right here, Sears, that is going to be the new form of pestilence in 2025. Now I need you to understand why they named it that. Why is that an acronym? So now when you look at it from that perspective, I'm going to show you something here because it's all going to basically interconnect. When you look at that, now I need you to read this because I told you in the last video, I did when I was talking about the galactic shift, you know what I'm saying? Everything is going to be based on a genetical mutation, right? And it's going to activate certain metaphysical abilities. So the teachings of the Shiyuk are so profound that when they came to the Earth's surface to teach, they were often called deities, gods, priests, prophets, messengers, and seers. I'm highlighting it right now. Well, it won't let me highlight it. I'm a scoot it up some. It says right there, when you screenshot it and you can look closely, it says seers, S-E-E-R-S, meaning that you are clairvoyant to the point where you can tap into that metaphysical ability and see into the future, right? So like I said, they know that the vibrational frequency of the planet, when you go through this metamorphic pole shift that's going to reverse the energy on the planet and go back into its original balance, this is going to be the inception where you're going to see a lot of deities. You're going to see a lot of gods. You're going to see a lot of prophets. You're going to see a lot of messengers because, like I said, the 7-year tribulation from 2023 to 2030 is the Great Awakening period, right? This is the Great Awakening. You got certain chosen ones on the planet, the 144,000. The awakening is going to be based on a genetical mutation and a neurological mutation because we are also personifications of the crystal city, right? So when the body is in alignment, like I said, it's a bioelectric entity because it transmutes the carbon body into a crystalline state because it's an electromagnetic generator and a light code transducer, which activates the 144,000 crystals in the brain, which is the magnetites and the dendrites. So we are the crystal city, right? We are the New Jerusalem, right? So it's not just based on a theological level when you read these books and everything. You also have a crystal city inside the planet, but we are also the crystal city through the law of correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without. Right? So you see it right there. It says seers. That's because they know that the energy of the planet, when you have the pole shift, you're going to see a lot of people are going to be seers, meaning that you can see beyond the 10% of the electromagnetic spectrum. Right? So now when we go back to it, that's what the virus is called. You reading it right there, S-E-E-R-S. Not a coincidence. Because like I said, man, everything is interconnected. Like I said, Illuminati, I'm on to you. I'll be catching y'all every time. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You can't fool me. I've been on y'all for a long time now. But I'm not sure if I have anything else to show you. Oh yeah, and this also coincides with the form of pestilence. So Nathan Rockefeller, he said verbatim that the goal is to get everybody in this world chipped with the you know what, right? And why is that? Because that's going to be the activation to shut off your biological structure. So that's why, like I said, that's why the vast majority of these athletes been dropping dead. Right? And you're going to see an increase of that low dimensional demonic frequency on the planet. You're going to see an increase because when you have during that fourth dimensional energy from the plutonium energy in March 23rd, that is going to be a fourth dimensional energy that's going to raise up the vibrational frequency. And that's because you're going to see a lot more sightings of Nibiru. I showed you in my last videos that, a lot of people are starting to have these sightings or whatever. Because like I said, Nibiru has the ability to send out cymatic light vibrations that's connected to the ethers, and the ethers is basically the inception of how you have this great awakening on the planet. So with all that being said, thanks for watching this video. Get this video out there because it's very conducive to everything that's going on right now. And this video is going to be one of those videos that's going to age very well, because this is a prophetic channeling that I had, that I got from meditation. So I had to put this information together, really quick and put it out, into the ethers so everybody can be, acclimated to the information. So utilize this information for utility. Thanks for watching. In the transmission.